Sri Ramakrishna Panamastu. Welcome to this pious Shivananda Hall for this sudden yet special evening where we all have gathered, our boys of 2025-26, 2026-27 and our Praktani brothers. In our Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapith, when boys are coming in class 6, we are celebrating the Vidyarthi Broto. That means some oath, holy oath, the students are taking to remain in this institution, which is not just an institution of academic education, but the character building, career making institution. And therefore, when these boys are slowly but steadily growing up, after 10th or 12th, when they are getting out for their advanced level of studies, knowledge, and to the greater task of serving the nation, we are not saying farewell. We often say, we must say, send off. So we are sending them off for some greater purpose. And when our alumnus, they are coming back to Vidyapith, we feel not proud, but a level of satisfaction that we means Vidyapith is going on the right direction, that they are coming back to this Vidyapith to deliver their dues, the mental dues, the intellectual dues, the dues of that spiritual power, what they are inheriting and imbibing into the next generation. Today is that opportunity where the boys of class 11th and 12th are going to experience the knowledge and wisdom of the batch of 1995. And this 2025, our Praktani brothers are here to celebrate their 30th years. So have a big round of applause for this endeavor. Vidyapith is a global institution. Ramakrishna Mission is a global institution. At the same time, we can proclaim that Vidyapith is also the same. We often see our students are illuminating different parts of the world, and when the Praktani brothers of different batches are coming back, these things are just get an attestation. These Praktani brothers of 1995 batch we are really thankful to Ritesh Chaturvedi ji, and I am happy to announce that under the kind initiative of Sri Ritesh Chaturvedi ji, Vidyapith alumni brothers based in Europe have donated rupees 50,000 as Vidyapith Dakshina for the Class 2 library. We have purchased, thank you. We have purchased the whole series of dictionaries, mostly from the Oxford University Press, which is prized possession for our students, and we convey our heartfelt thanks to all of them. Ritesh ji is the coordinator of the Europe chapter of the Praktani Adda, and it's really a pleasure that the 80th session is being held in this Paya Shivananda Hall. So it's really an auspicious moment for all of us. We all that staff, teaching staff, non-teaching staff, and all the Vidyapith family is really thankful to these Praktani brothers to select this 80th session to be held in this Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapith campus. May I request our Principal Maharaj, Swami Divyasudananda ji, our Coordinator Maharaj, Navin Maharaj, to be on the dais to felicitate Ritesh Chaturvedi ji, and I would request all the Praktani brothers, please come up on the stage one by one to get the blessings from Maharaj and a token of love from Vidyapith. Maharaj, please. All the Praktani brothers, please. Speaker. Technologies spanning desktop, cloud, and AI space. In this Adda, he will delve into the following subtopics and invites participants to engage actively through an interactive question and answer session. How is AI changing what software engineers do, and what skills will matter most in the future? What should we start learning now, both technical and non-technical skills? And how can we begin developing the mindset needed to succeed as engineers in the age of AI? How can we keep up and continue learning in a world where technology and AI are evolving so fast? How do we find real everyday problems around us that we can solve using AI and software? So this is going to be happened in this hall. After, it is my earnest request to Ritesh Chaturvedi ji to come up on the stage and say a few words to our boys, and afterwards he will call Arindam Basak sir, so that the formal part is over and we can really become a very cozy atmosphere.
I feel very humbled to have our batch of 1995 here, and also because of such a nice hospitality and love from all the Vidyapith family, especially Principal Maharaj, who had been kind enough to provide us this opportunity to talk with our brothers from 11-12. I wouldn't take much time because we have a very brilliant mind, Arindam Basak, who is going to speak. Generally, you go to YouTube, Instagram, and other websites to listen to this kind of people. So it's my earnest request to you, make the most of this opportunity. Arindam Basak is not only a great engineer, but during our times he was a great artist. And he used to win every drawing competition during our days. So I will invite Arindam Basak on the dais to share his views. And to make the most of it, I would request to ask as many questions you have, not only in this session, but if you have, we can share the email ID of Arindam. You can send through Principal Maharaj if you need any detailed explanation. So please welcome Arindam.
Thank you, Ritesh. And as Ritesh mentioned, we are all very honored
to be here, and I'm visiting here after 30 years. There are a lot of things that we have taken back and we have inculcated them in our lives. It's great to actually come back and based on what we have learned over time to see if we can provide some insights on how to, let's say, build career in the area of software engineering and AI, and we are seeing a lot of advancements that are happening in this space. So I would like this interaction to be like a very interactive session, not really, I don't have a lot of presentation content as such. I'll spend some time to provide a background, but after that, I would ask anyone to ask questions, and I'll try to answer, and we also have a lot of our Praktani brothers as well, and they can also chime in. So with that, let me get started. Okay, so what I'll... That's fine. Do I need this one?
Yes. So you have...
That's fine. Yeah. So what we will talk about today is how do we chart a career in the space of software engineering in the age of AI. In terms of agenda, I wanted to cover some basics around what is software engineering, what do software engineers do, what is AI, how is AI getting used as part of software engineering, what kind of skills are needed for software engineers and more so in the age of AI. And if you have to get started now, how do we get started? And this is a very evolving space, so there are a lot of things that are happening in very quick time. So how do we get started? How do we find problems which we can use and to solve them through software engineering and AI? So broadly, this is what I'll talk about, and I'll not take much time on this one. But after that, as all of you have questions, we can have an interactive session with that. So to start with, what is software engineering? So any engineering is about building, and software engineering is about building digital systems. So as we can see, like when we look around, there are these, at this point, there are a lot of cloud applications that are there, like shopping applications like Flipkart, Myntra, food delivery applications, Swiggy, Zomato, ride-sharing applications like Ola, Uber, media applications like YouTube, Netflix, and of course many others. So all of these are examples of software applications. And what they really do is that they are actually handling a set of complex problems through digital systems, and these systems are working at a very large scale. They are very reliable. So all of this, what does it take for someone to build such applications and run such applications? So that's basically the field of software engineering. And just to extend that, what do software engineers do? Usually what we would see a lot is that software engineers do coding. So that's the usual perception that if we see anywhere, let's say if in movies or wherever it's shown, it's primarily about coding. But actually software engineers, there is a lot of stuff beyond that that also is involved in software engineering. So I'll just go through a few of those, and they are formally called software development lifecycle. So broadly speaking, when we are starting to implement a software, so let's say, let's take an example of one of these applications, a shopping application like Myntra, for example. So we'll have to figure out like what is the goal that we have out of it, who are the customers, what are their requirements,
And actually, how do we design for that? How do we design the user interface? How do we design the system to be able to run at a large scale with a large set of customers interacting with it? So all of this involves planning, analysis, and design. So that's basically some initial 3 phases of software engineering. Once we do that, then we come to the actual development. So this is what we usually refer to as coding. So we take all of those learnings that we gather from planning, analysis, and design and actually translate that into code. So we build a set of what is called software modules which interact with each other to provide that integrated functionality. And along with development, there is also, we need to make sure that it's running well when customers are using it. So that's basically called testing or validation. So that goes hand in hand with development, and the idea is that all of this should happen automatically, and also actually when it's running in production where customers are actually using it, there is a lot of this testing and validation that keeps happening so that we get to know if it's working fine for the customers, if there are issues that are coming up. And with that, like development and testing, then the phase comes around how do we actually make it available to customers. So that's where it's the deployment. So where we release the software in the hands of customers in what is called a production environment. So a production environment is where real customers make use of the product. And as I mentioned, even after deployment, we need to make sure that, because all of these are services that are running in cloud, and a lot of customers are interacting with it. So we need to make sure that it's working well for the customers. So we have these mechanisms of figuring out if there are issues that are coming up while this kind of a software system is running. So that's called monitoring, and then based on that we do this fixing of issues. Like we basically make sure that those issues are taken care of and we are updating the software so that those issues are no longer there. And this is a cycle that continues. So we will, like along the way, figure out there are new requirements, there are new customer asks that are coming, and then it will then get incorporated into the planning, analysis, design, development, and so on. So this is basically overall what the software development life cycle is. So coding is one part of it, but just like if you think of any kind of engineering, so if let's say if we are to build a bridge, if we are to build a building, so there is a lot that goes on before or after the actual laying out of the bricks. So that's what is basically in the area of software engineering, all of these phases that are involved. And then coming to now, we are hearing a lot about AI. In the last few years, there has been a lot of advancements in AI and focus on AI, and actually both software engineering and also software applications are transforming a lot, driven by AI. So what is AI and how is it being used in software applications? This is what we'll cover here. So if you look at it, like all of these applications, so let's say I'll take an example here. So there are a few examples that are mentioned. So I'll take one example where, for example, if you look at, let's say YouTube, and we see a lot of recommendations that are customized to me. So based on what I have viewed earlier, so based on all of that, it seems like the system has learned it. And based on that, it's customizing the recommendations of, okay, these are the next set of videos which seems like are interesting to you. So this is somewhat different from, let's say, if we had actually implemented that with a fixed set of interactions where we would always, let's say, be it alphabetically, be it date-wise, we just provide a list which may not be personalized to each and every person who has actually been using YouTube. So what happens in all of this is that there is this learning from data to capture patterns. So that basically is the crux of AI. So the crux of AI, and there are actually other related terms, I'm not going to the details of that, like machine learning and all of that. But broadly speaking, the crux of AI is it leverages math, statistics, pattern recognition, and other similar techniques to be able to learn from data and make predictions which are like an example of a prediction is what I provided. So these are the set of videos which a customer would like to see based on the past history. And also in cases, it's about creating new content. And this is a lot that we are seeing now, where a lot of it is about creating new content. When we are interacting with a chat application, we ask a question and it gives an answer, it generates an image. So all of this is actually creating new content. And it's based on patterns that these models have learned over a large set of data. So that's basically the crux of AI. And what it means to use AI in software applications is how do we transform a software which is just a set of fixed instructions to actually make it learn over time based on usage, and based on that learning which is out of the past data, it customizes it over time. So that is basically artificial intelligence. And that's how it has transformed software applications, and there are many examples that I have mentioned here. So for example, if it's a ride-sharing application like Ola or Uber, so we see this dynamic pricing. So depending on when, at which time, how many people are actually looking for a ride, these prices vary. And how do they do that? It's basically based on past data and the analysis of how much people are willing to pay and many other factors. So it's actually dynamically adjusting the prices. Real-time route optimization, again for a ride-sharing application, it looks at the traffic patterns that it has seen over time, and based on that can provide an estimate of this much time it will take to get from point A to point B. So there are a few other examples that I've mentioned here, but broadly speaking, it's about making a software intelligent in a sense that just like we learn over time based on experience, the software also learns over time based on past data. So a related thing about that is actually not only about how the applications themselves are becoming more advanced with AI, but also the software engineering as a process is changing due to AI. So for example, a lot of it that we see today is that we are able to generate code, we are able to generate program by just prompting, let's say, a GitHub Copilot or Cursor or similar tools. So essentially the software development lifecycle that I talked about like few slides back, so all these phases in some form are getting accelerated due to leveraging of AI in each of these phases. So for example, at the time of design, we want to figure out what is a good user interface, what is, let's say, a good design of how this software would work at a large scale. So we usually do a lot of prototyping, like we try out various options, we actually code for them to see if it's really working. So all of these actually are getting accelerated a lot because now we can leverage these tools which are AI based to do this rapid prototyping. Similarly, for during development or during testing, we are able to generate a lot of these code automatically, which is reducing this time for us to be able to get to a point where we are getting the software to a state that it can be released to production. So what it means is that software engineering now for humans is actually transforming into where we are making this strategic decision making and complex problem solving, while some of these actual coding is taken care of by these tools. So we are focusing on like breaking down a problem into simpler problems so that we can give it to these tools to do the actual implementation, which overall accelerates this whole software development life cycle. And what it means also is that the way we were looking at software engineering, let's say a few years back versus what it's looked for now, so the people who are now starting to work on software engineering, or even people who have been actually working on software engineering, there is a lot of relearning that's happening at a very fast pace. So that's actually the significance of like understanding and making sure that we have a good sense of how these tools work. So that's why this is important that we are able to keep up in pace with how software engineering is getting transformed with AI. Okay, so now coming to what kind of skills are needed for software engineering in the age of AI. So here I'll cover actually not just age of AI, but software engineering in general, but with a focus on, because as I mentioned in the last slide, that the way we are developing applications, the way we are engineering is actually also changing because of these AI tools that are available. So broadly speaking, I'll talk about it in three parts. One is how to build, one is how to think, and the third one is how to work. So in terms of how to build, so this is basically the actual, let's say, the software engineering that we have seen, where we need this proficiency with what is called data structures and algorithms. When we say data structures, it's actually how do we organize data. When we say algorithms, it's about how do we provide a set of steps to the computer so that it can use that data to actually solve a problem. So data structures and algorithms, coding in one or more programming languages, system design, which is if it's a very large system that is working, it's deployed in the cloud, it's working at a very large scale with customers across the world, how do we make sure that that system runs fine? How do we make sure that we are able to actually make these updates to the system in a way that it doesn't cause a lot of impact to the other parts of the system. So all of this comes in the system design, where it's about creating reliable and scalable architectures that can handle things like heavy traffic and data flow, and of course many other things as well. And the one that comes in with a lot of AI that comes into the software applications is AI proficiency. And the proficiency again comes in two parts. One is that when we are building the software, the process of building it, as I mentioned in the previous slide, has changed with AI getting leveraged. And also the application itself is getting transformed a lot, where these AI models are taking center stage of the application, where previously there was a lot of code which was like deterministic, static, regular code that was there is getting replaced by this dynamic code which is sort of learned over time. So these models are learning those patterns. So proficiency in AI now is essential to be sort of part of software engineering discipline. The second part is how to think. So just like if you think of, as I mentioned, example of building a bridge. So any engineering, it's about like problem solving. So it's a real world problem that needs to be solved, and how do we actually break that problem into a smaller set of sub-problems, which can be, in this case, for a software engineering, it can be given to the machine to solve a problem. So this idea of taking a large problem, like taking a large problem, for example, is if I'm given to design an application like Uber, what does it mean to do that and have it run at a large scale? So it's a problem solving that we need to do. There is a lot of critical thinking that we need to do, because there are various options which may or may not work. If we, for example, also interact with the AI tools, we will see options which we actually have to make sure if they work or not. Because these tools, while they help with options, it's not always the case that they are going to give the right solution. So a lot of critical thinking is involved. A lot of product thinking is involved. Product thinking is about understanding what users are looking to see, understanding what users need. So aside from the fact that we have to do the implementation, it's about understanding what actually needs to be built. So what set of features that are important to the users versus even if we put it in the software, it may not get used. So thinking from a customer perspective, so that is also a critical part of software engineering. And then lastly, how to walk. So here, one key thing is communication. The reason is that if you look at a product like this, all the examples that I took, and it's built by very large teams. And it's a very complex product, and there are like multiple people who are working on various parts of it. So how do we make sure that the interactions are clear and concise? We talk to customers, we talk to various stakeholders. So all of this needs a very good communication with respect to being able to articulate an idea, being able to articulate what the proposal is about the design and the solution. And actually, it has become more important now, because when we are using the AI tools, it's about communicating well to an AI tool, what is called prompt engineering currently, which is like if you are interacting with a tool like ChatGPT, we ask a question, we ask a follow-up question, we sort of provide a problem statement based on that, it comes up with a solution or a proposal. So how well we are articulating it is very important. So communication is very key to make sure that a software which is like not, let's say, an individually built software, but something that is built by a large team, or it's leveraging AI tools. So communication is essential for that. And lastly, which actually is, I would say, one of the most important things, is the pace in which we are seeing development happening now. Whatever we have learned 6 months back may actually not be relevant, is the pace in which the AI is progressing now. So one key thing is that how do we learn to learn? So adaptability and continuous learning. So there will always be something new that is coming along the way. So all the things that we are learning currently in school, for example, it forms a base. And that actually, we will see that like in future, these learnings become key to actually for me to understand, okay, I can now apply this thing here. Then whatever we have learned here, now it has transformed like this. So how do we keep at pace with the tech and tools that are evolving very fast? Adaptability and continuous learning. So broadly speaking, these are the skills. Of course, there are a few more as well. Then coming to how can I get started on building the software engineering skills? So I think the first thing, and it's a very important thing, is that adopting a builder's mindset, which is like, so I'll look for problems which needs to be solved, and I'll build something to solve the problem. So that, because engineering is about building. So having a builder's mindset, and now in the age of AI, how well can I use the AI tools as a learning partner, and actually also as a way of kind of accelerating my building. So here, like I have broken it into 2 or 3 parts, but broadly speaking, this is what I'm focusing on, what we could do now, let's say while we are in classes 11 and 12, for example. So learning a programming language, it could be any language. Python is actually heavily used currently because of the AI tools, and it's a language that is sort of, it's like from learning perspective, it's a good language to start with. There are also many other important languages like C, C++, and so on, but at least start with one programming language which will help us start the building. And then because we would actually be building it over time, how do we make sure that we have a good version control which can help me manage my code base? So that's also a good skill to build, because that's going to be very important, and that's going to be part and parcel of actually doing software engineering, where these tools like Git or GitHub, which are used for version control. So then actually these 4 points are about building something. So we could build, let's say, an AI chatbot, build an AI project. It could be one of the known projects that are available as a sample somewhere in the web as well, and gradually moving to things that are more complex. So creating a website, for example, and then it would be good after all of this, like giving it a try with a programming language and building some of the simpler projects, actually take a problem which is near and dear to us and build a solution for that. So that will help in going through these phases of the whole software development life cycle at a smaller scale, but it will help exercise those phases, and it will help actually, again, learn more about the programming language, learn more about the AI technologies, because we'll probably use something new there. So can we identify and solve a personal problem? It could be any problem that looks like is something that is taking a time manually. I'll cover that more in the next slide. But let's take a problem and try to build it ourselves. So that will give us this experience of what it means to build a software. And then, so here I have provided some examples of how do we look for such a problem. So, for example, so these are some of the patterns. So if we see that there is some task that is sort of tedious to do and repetitive, I have given an example here. So let's say we have these quizzes, and we have handwritten answers for those quizzes. And instead of actually grading it manually, can we build an app which takes those and auto grades them? So this will involve actually both software engineering and AI to do that. It will involve this understanding of the handwriting, then also the reasoning about which of these are right, which of these are wrong. But broadly speaking, this is an example of something that is repetitive, and if we can accelerate it, or if we can automate it using software engineering and AI, it would be a good sort of problem to solve, which might be helpful for others as well. Prediction. So prediction in the sense that, again, an example that I have given here is that, let's say we have to go somewhere. Usually we think of like when do we start? So if it's in the morning, it might take this much time. If it's in the evening, it might take this much time. So we, let's say, go to a tool like Google Maps, and it will give an estimate. So this is basically an estimation-based judgment. So whatever something like a Google Maps is doing is an example of prediction. So can we take that as a challenge for ourselves and build it based on, let's say, the past data, get the traffic data, and any other data that might be useful? So this is a pattern where there is some estimation-based judgment that we as humans do, which using AI and software engineering can be automated, can be done automatically. The third is about personalization. So if we see these software applications, which are like one of the examples that I talked about is YouTube videos and recommendations. So that is an example of personalization. So if we want to, let's say, build something, so a study helper, which is personalized to me. So there are things that I know that I'm doing well, there are things that I may not be doing well. So can I build a study helper, which maybe it's a chatbot or some other form of experience, which actually, let's say, takes in a chapter, and based on how I'm answering, it's able to adapt the questions it asks and so on. Then another example is vision. So vision is one thing which AI handles well. One example of vision was the first one that I mentioned, which is about auto-grading handwritten quizzes. There is one more that I mentioned here, which is, so let's say in the notice board there are a lot of notices there. So if I have to go through all the notices, and it will take me some time, how do we, let's say, take that picture of a notice board, and it automatically says that for me, these are the things that are immediately relevant. So that's an example of vision that an AI-based application can handle automatically. Then there is language reasoning. So this is a familiar one, which we are seeing in these chatbots like ChatGPT, which is being able to, like when we ask a question or when we provide a document and ask questions on that, it is able to provide those answers. So here, for example, if I could give a set of documents that I have, and I want to ask a set of questions, then can it answer those? So that's an example of reasoning based on language data. So these are some of the examples, but the broad thing is that how do we look for things that seemingly are repetitive, seemingly are tedious, or needs some sort of like human judgment, or any kind of like estimation or judgment. So can we pick them from things that are around us and actually try things out? So with all of this, like whatever I've covered till now, this, like if we get into that mode of gradually doing it, we might start small. So that will help us keep in pace with how not only the skills that are needed now, but also staying updated with the skills that are going to be needed in future. So I think that's broadly that I had as content. This is to give an introduction, and at this point, so I would like to open it up for any questions so that we can make it interactive. Right.
Can you tell?
Yeah. So I'll give a very simple example, which is not an advanced example, but it's just to give an idea about, like it's not exactly thinking that's happening. So for example, we see these, like any of these, for example, the trend of stock prices or stock price of a particular company. So there are mathematical ways of just fitting a curve or based on some other factors, being able to say that, okay, the stock price is probably going to be this tomorrow. So what's happening is ultimately, like in a simplistic form, it is sort of a curve fitting. It is mathematically just a curve fitting. But what it did is it essentially learned something in the sense that now I have an equation which had some parameters which I have fitted based on past data, and that helps me sort of predict the future. So what's happening here is that in case of when we have an AI model, think of it as a very large equation. And this equation has a few variable parameters. We are doing essentially an equivalent of curve fitting with a lot of data. So with that, what's happening is that when you see things like, let's say, neural networks, so it's actually a network where there are a set of nodes, there are a set of edges. Each of these edges have weights. These weights are learned based on a lot of past data. So what happens is that it actually uses these data points one after another, and over time, these weights get adjusted in a way that for most of the past data, it is providing correct answers. So it's, for example, if I just have a curve like y equal to ax plus b, and I have to find a and b based on past data, if I know that it's a linear relationship, and if I know the past data, I can provide the weights. So if I say a and b are weights, I'm finding the value of a and b, which sort of now is, if I give a future data, it can think, which is basically just applying those weights and providing an output, which is looks like that it is providing a correct output or almost correct output. So essentially what's happening is that, one way to look at it, of course simplified, is that it's a large equation whose weights are getting set through past data.
Why do we prefer Python? Why
Sorry?
not other languages?
Python versus other languages. So Python actually, it's not like Python is the universal language for everything. But there are a couple of reasons. One is that Python has historically been used for a lot of AI applications. Because AI has been in focus for some time, Python looks like a good language to actually code AI applications because there is a lot of available built-in libraries that are there, which can be readily leveraged, versus having to actually rewrite them. If, let's say, if I take a very different language, I may have to rewrite. I'm not talking about some of the, let's say, more common functionality, but as AI is evolving very fast, people are building a lot more libraries there. It so happens that Python is the language which most people are using for AI applications. So that is one reason. The second reason is that Python actually is at a right level of abstraction, in the sense that if we take something like C or C++, so to actually build a particular functionality, it will take quite a bit of writing code, versus in Python, because of the built-in libraries that are there, it becomes much faster. And more so, it's not like, let's say, a single-threaded application that is running. If I have to run, let's say, a data parallel application, and if I have to take another language which may not have that much of inbuilt set of libraries that are available, I would have to do a lot of work myself to do it. So if my job is going to be building applications quicker and applications which are more leveraging AI, Python is a good choice. But to learn a language or to learn software programming, languages like C++, these are also very good. Because this will, so Python shouldn't be the only language that we learn. But primarily for, if I am to try out, let's say, building applications, and more so where there is a lot of AI, Python is a good language. But if I have to, let's say, really want to understand how a system works internally, languages like C, C++ are definitely a very good language to actually learn those.
What can a person who does not have the subject, like computer as a subject, do in this field? Or have you ever encountered another person in your field who did not have the subject but is still making an impact?
Yeah, there are many. Like, you mean subject in the sense subject not as part of school curriculum, or?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so I have encountered, and these days there are. Okay, so we have someone from our alumni who is raising his hand that he's also. Okay, so but that's actually, it's very much possible. Because these days the resources that are available on the web, it's very much possible to learn something on someone's own, even if there isn't a formal subject that is there in the curriculum. There are a lot of actually tutorials that are there which can be, I think the key thing is to be sort of start small, but being diligent and actually start learning these concepts one after another, and the best way to learn it is actually building it. So take a simple application, and in that process learn the concepts that are involved, and there are a lot of resources available, so I can help with any pointers that you are looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my question to you is that nowadays we see that AI, that if we give a simple prompt to AI, it creates an app. So it is very dangerous for app developers because their job is gone. So what are your views on that?
Yeah. So I'll just give an analogy. Let's say there was a time when we didn't have machines, or at least not in our time, but there were times when a lot of things were being done manually, but there were machines that came up, but it's not like, so some specific parts of the job weren't needed, but there were a lot other things which actually are leveraging machines which people started moving to work on. So what I mean to say is that, so firstly there are two parts. One is that it's not that if the app is getting built, it means that it is going to work correctly, because the stage in which the AI is in We still need to make sure that we have enough validation is in place, the critical thinking that I talked about. So all of these need to be involved. We sort of have to be still guiding that agent and having those checks and balances to make sure that it is working properly. So there is a lot of work that needs to be done there itself. The second part is that what we are seeing is, so while we don't have to code, as I mentioned in the software development lifecycle, there are many other things that are involved. So we are getting more time to focus on those things, being able to actually, let's say, an example that I mentioned where previously if I had, let's say, 5 ideas of doing one thing, I would probably take a month to implement those. So now those 5 ideas, I can leverage these tools to, let's say, within a week or just a few days, I get a sense of which one to pick from. So what's happening is that if you use it as a tool, it is helping me accelerate and deliver faster. It's not really like taking the job away. Of course, I'm not doing like line by line of coding at this point, but in terms of software engineering, there is a lot to build. There are a lot of things that are like anyone could take up and build. So in terms of work involved or work needed, there is so much that can be done, that it's good that now we are able to focus on things that are about this higher level strategizing, design, making sure that if someone like an agent has written a code, I have the proper validation, but primarily focus on how I can implement more stuff faster, which is now possible, which was actually harder to do a lot of experiments with previously.
Yeah, my question to you is, like you are working in a multinational company, so do multinational companies have their own AI sort of chatbots? Because you said you use AI, or the coders use AI while coding programs or whatever the applications they are working on, the projects they are working on, or do you use the general AI bots which the general public is using? Because I think if the multinational companies are using the general AI bots, it would hinder the privacy of that company somehow. So
It will be like, in general, there are multiple approaches depending on what the need is. So and it will also depend on use case by use case. So in some cases, it may not be the right thing to do, to use a model that is available outside or hosted somewhere else. In many cases, it might be fine. So there isn't a universal answer to this, but depending on what kind of data I am processing, the sensitivity of the data, so all of this together, that decision needs to be made that is it something that I can use a model that is available, is it a model that needs to be hosted in a particular way, and only then I can use it. So the answer is that it all depends, and all of these are options depending on what exactly we are looking to build.
And one more question, like we are living in an ever-evolving era of AI, but we're also in the pre-developmental stage of quantum computing. So what are the implications of quantum computing? Specifically, I'm asking for software engineering.
Yeah. So actually, quantum computing, I don't have a lot of context, so I won't be able to answer that question. If anyone else can take it, but specifically for quantum computing, I have very limited context. It's a very nascent evolving field, so that's also something that is going to be an important one, in some time.
And Bhaiya, what I have heard in my previous experiences, I heard that previously, in the recent few years, it was very important to have mastered many languages. It was basically quantity over quality. that you have learned many languages, and those programmers, those people were preferred over others to getting jobs into companies. So is it still the case right now in the present?
So I think, again, it would depend from different, like company to company, depending on, like if let's say a company has a particular project which needs to be done very fast, within a very limited time. At that point, maybe, again, I'm referring to not, let's say, before the age of AI where all of these are getting automated already. But other than that, it depends on like what kind of project or what kind of skill that a company is looking for. In general, like from my perspective, I think the number of languages don't matter. It's about mastery in one language that I have encountered. So if we see someone who has encountered or has worked on a particular language, does that person understand that language well, understand the internals of how it works? Because that gives a sense of like asking questions, asking deeper questions, versus, let's say, is it just about like learning the language but not really understanding in depth on how it works. So one part of it is whatever that person has worked on, if the person has a good depth of knowledge and understanding on that, that's basically what we're looking for. And the second thing is that what I mentioned about learning to learn, so that's a very important skill. So if, let's say, given a new problem that is an unseen problem, using whatever language it is, coding it, and more so like not only coding but also being able to find a solution to the problem. So those things are critical, not like having, let's say, knowing this particular language versus that. Because if these two are there, a new language can be learned very fast. If I have this like the intent to understand in depth whatever I'm learning, and if I have this capability of quickly learn stuff, so what I have learned till now by itself is not that important, because I can learn anything quickly over time.
My name is Aditya Basu, and I'm a student of class 12th.
Thank you.
My name is Shreyas Goswami, and I'm a student of class 12th. Bhaiya, I have a question that I have read somewhere that AI don't have logic sense. How far it is true? Or how much more time it will take to gain that logic sense?
Logic sense means, are you referring to reasoning?
Like reasoning types and thinking more out of the box thinking and all.
So things are improving fast, but definitely there is a lot more that can be done. Now, how far it will take actually is, of course, there is research happening, like be it in academia, be it in various companies. So I don't have like that kind of understanding of how far it may take, because probably it is still getting understood. But if we see the pace in which it's improving, there is a lot that if whatever we had seen, let's say around 2 years back versus what the models can do now, there is a lot of reasoning that it is able to do compared to what it used to do before. So there is work happening in the model which is happening in a fairly fast pace. So hopefully things will keep getting better in a fast pace.
So, Bhaiya, one more question. It's more about career based. So if you were in my place, like with your current matureness, what you would have do? Means what you would like to do for career? If you would have been in my place, with current matureness, what you have? What do you like to do?
Yeah, so I would have liked to do the same thing that I'm doing.
Like what you would prefer me to like miss college and all, not the skill you are having, miss.
Okay. So I think it's, again, software engineering with AI is definitely so something that I was always interested in. So in college, when AI was not at that point that popular yet, I had done a few projects on AI, but in general I had an interest in that. But is your question about which college versus which?
How do you plan your planning? Future planning.
Okay. So I think there are, again, one part of it is we know that there is the conventional plan of there are the competitive exams which are a gateway to a lot of the things that like we are talking about. So that definitely would have been the one that is there. So the one track would definitely have been that, because even today it's not like we can sort of, if we are not doing that, there is still like otherwise, of course, we could do everything on our own, and that's also a good track. But I would say definitely continue to prepare for the competitive examinations. But along with that, what I mentioned is, so the skill around, because these things are evolving in such a rapid pace that like whatever, if we are learning now, so someone who is keeping at pace with that is actually going to potentially go further ahead faster compared to someone who is, let's say, not doing that or doing the conventional path only. I would say that focus on both of them. And if there is an interest in this one, this is going to be actually, like, you would find it interesting. And there is a lot that actually can be done today while probably someone is still in college, which previously was harder to do. There are a couple of reasons. One is that knowledge is available much more today in the web, so we don't really need, let's say, it need to be taught as part of the curriculum. And the second is being able to actually publish what I have built. Those avenues are also a lot there. So, like creating an open source project which others could contribute. So there is a lot that can be done today which will help towards this other track. But of course, continuing on the track of preparing for competitive exams. So that definitely I would still have done.
I wanted to ask you two things since you are in this field. One is like, how is AI going to impact the scene of employment in future? There's a lot of apprehension among people that AI is going to kind of cut down the job prospects, number one. Number two, for the non-engineering background people who are from non-technical background, so how they can pick up AI thing? Thanks.
Yeah. So in terms of employment, again, I can give sort of my thinking. So I think the kind of work people are doing today, some of those may not be needed in future, but in an overall scheme of things, there will always be some work in another form which will be needed. So if I'm only doing coding today, so I may be actually out of pace in the AI world. But if I'm keeping in pace with AI and actually sort of moving to now how well can I direct these AI tools to do something while I'm building something larger, then I would still be like part of this whole equation of building a set of things and job and all of that. So the key thing is to transform myself to be in pace with the AI development. So if that happens, I would say that while some kind of work may not be needed, but there is always some other work which actually is going to probably create much more value than if I had manually coded everything. So that will still be there. And The second question was, okay, so how can a non-technical person, so I think, so there are certain things which have made this sort of now more possible, which was not previously possible, because now, so there are these, all of these learning tools, chatbots that are there, which can be used to not always start from scratch. So there is, like I could, if I have an idea in mind, I could start with some level of prompting and get an initial solution, and then gradually understand more and more of that. So if, let's say I'm looking to build an application, previously if it wasn't someone from a technical background, it would have been very hard, because all of the steps of actual coding had to be done. But now I think it has come to a state where if I am a domain expert, so if I'm an expert in a particular domain and I feel like I want to build this particular software application, so now it has become more possible because I can still like take the larger problem, break it down into smaller problems, and then leverage these tools to do the actual coding work. Then it will hopefully get to a state where it is somewhat working. Then I start digging deeper. Like I start learning more, and of course we can start with a simpler version of an application, but I think now the tools are there for people who are not technical as well to pick things up in a top-down manner, in the sense that I don't have to first learn the whole of coding, then actually even start to implement something. So I could start to implement something and then actually start seeing value of that in some form, and in the process also start digging deeper. So if we leverage the tools effectively, then that would, I would say, be the way where a non-technical person actually can do more than what it was possible previously.
One last question. It's basically regarding the future implications of AI. So Geoffrey Hinton, also known as the godfather of AI, he said that AI poses an existential threat to humanity. So I just wanted to know what's your take on this?
So actually there are multiple views of that, like of course different people, different scientists are, they have their own thinking. So I wouldn't say there is one particular thinking that I am able to say that, okay, this is what, because each of them come from a particular perspective which is a valid perspective. So depending on how the journey goes, we will see what it turns out to be, but also along the way, I am hoping that there will be a lot of checks and balances that will also evolve. So in general, I would say that things should actually like get to a better state and things will be in control. But this is actually a very hard question to answer. What will happen, because a lot of things along the way will impact what's going to happen.
Thank you.
My name is Arindam Mondal from class 11. Yeah, I have a question that when someone is asking to AI for the deepfake, and the AI is asking for some data. When someone is putting the data in the AI, and it make a deepfake within a second. So I have a question that how AI have the knowledge about deepfake?
Can you repeat it once? I didn't get the question fully.
Bhaiya, the question is that how AI have knowledge about deepfake?
Knowledge about?
Deepfake.
So you have provided an image is what you're referring to, or like?
No, that is some of incidents I am listening about the AI, that's why I'm asking.
So the question is how AI has knowledge about
this negative sentence, that is the deepfake about how AI is making these things.
Sorry, so can you repeat it once again, like from the start?
So my question is that there is lots of news I've been saying, I've been hearing that about the deep fake about.
Yeah.
So I have a question that how is AI is making this type of things?
Oh, okay. So how is AI making those images?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, this is, so we talked about these learning patterns, right? So that's, like AI has seen a lot of such images in the past. In the sense during its training. So each of these models have a particular architecture. Architecture in the sense that, again, I mentioned about simplistically we can think of these as very large equations. Like very large in the sense very, very large. And each of these have a particular type of architecture which now, based on how learning happens, it understands those patterns and then it can, like given some new data, in this case, let's say if you want to say that you have to create an image like this, then from whatever it has seen till now, it has those actually learned as part of its model, and that's how it's able to generate something similar.
Thank you.
So that's again at a very high level, but broadly speaking, it is the model architectures are such that it is able to learn based on data of a particular kind, in this case image data, and are able to provide, like when asked for a similar image, it's able to provide that.
Thank you.
I am Ranjit Ahmed of class 12th. Where I wanted to ask that AI is creating images and content like that. So is this hamper the creative jobs in your in the software engineering, like designing, web designing?
So from software engineering perspective, like the way I was mentioning, it is actually providing us more opportunity to do things which in a creative sense we weren't able to do that fast because we had to do a lot of the coding ourselves. So what we can now do is that if we have ideas, if we have multiple potential ways of like solving a problem, then those aspects of creativity can now be exercised more, because I don't have to actually do all of the coding for each of these, which otherwise would have taken a lot of time from me. So from a software engineering perspective, it actually is helping us do more of the creative work. But I think when you say creative, you're not probably referring to software engineering, you're referring to like someone who, let's say, was drawing those images, or so what happens to those? Is that what you're referring to? Okay. So I don't have a specific thought to that, but I am hoping that there would be certain things, like for example, if it is, let's say, music production, I'm taking a different example. So it might be possible that if a musician or a music director has an idea about a tune, so the person actually can now try out multiple variations through these tools and see which one is working better. So similarly, if let's say I'm doing a sort of a design of a building, design in the sense more from the perspective of like how it will look like. So I can leverage these tools to actually, like if I have an idea, I might chalk it out on a paper and have these tools take it forward and complete it. I might tweak something and then again have these tools take it forward and complete it. So what I'm trying to say is that while I'm still doing the design, in this case as well, I'm still leveraging these AI tools to sort of complete it for the part that is more mechanical than the creative part of what I'm thinking. So I will still spend time on creativity, but those will be some of the higher levels of those creative aspects of doing the design, rather than actually, let's say, drawing it completely. So I would probably give some ideas, give some high-level drawing and then let the AI complete it. So this helps me actually visualize things faster because I don't have to myself draw everything, or I don't have to myself create whole of the tune. So what I would say in general, like analogous to what I mentioned about software engineering, there would be ways to like actually leverage my creativity more, because now for some of the more deterministic parts of it, which is actually completing a drawing and stuff like that, I can leverage the tools, but the more creative parts I can spend more time on and actually do more things faster.
Bhaiya, I have one more question.
Yeah.
It may be a little personal. Do you prefer Microsoft Edge or Google?
Do you prefer?
Microsoft Edge or Google?
So I have joined Microsoft after college. That's the only company that I've worked on. So I haven't worked in Google or any other company. So I don't have a way to say what I'd prefer. So for me, it's basically Microsoft has been the company.
Chrome or Microsoft Edge?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
Google
that.
Chrome or Microsoft
Yeah, like
Edge. So by the way, I use Edge, and like both of these actually are using internally the same platform, but in terms of functionality that they are providing, both of these are like from the user experience perspective or some of the higher layers perspective, they are building their own. So over time, we'll see. At this point, like I actually use Edge. I have used Chrome as well, so it's not that I'm using one versus the other. So I'm actually using both. So I don't have a way of like I don't have a strong preference of one versus the other, because both are good.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
I am Abhinav Kumar of class 12, and my question to Bhaiya is, many software engineers have been in touch with me, and they show me things like whenever they get some work, they use platforms like Anthropic, Claude to get some high-end work done in seconds, and they chill out for the rest of the day. So smartness is in learning tens of thousands of languages like Python, or in learning how to get work done with the help of AI.
So I don't think we need to learn a lot of languages, but definitely we should understand how things work internally. So if I'm running, let's say, a Python program, what is actually happening, and when needed, I should be able to go deep and understand, because let's say I have given one of these AI tools to generate some code. It generated the code, it's sort of working but not completely working. Or maybe it is not, like it is working but it's not that performant, like it is slow. So I still need to now go deeper and understand what is happening underneath, which is making it slow. So in terms of understanding of concepts, I think we need to understand things deep, but we should still leverage these tools to the extent that it's providing value for us. So it's not one versus the other, because both of them are going to be needed.
My next question too is that how can AI help in the field of entrepreneurship?
Field of entrepreneurship?
Yes.
So, like one of the examples is if I have an idea in mind, now there are various parts. When we talked about the software development life cycle, there are various parts of like gathering requirements for customers, looking at, let's say, gaps that are there currently, which we would want to fill. So one part of it, let's say, is researching and figuring out what would be the app that would best solve the problem. So a lot of the research actually can be done based on the AI tools, because it can figure out like from various resources on the web, for example. So there are tools like deep research, which can do a lot of deep research on a topic, which will help me now take that forward, and then of course with my own creativity and understanding, I will actually build on top of that. But it's an example of how it accelerated that part. Accelerating coding we already discussed. So what I'm trying to say is that in each phase of the software development life cycle, from ideation to requirements gathering from customers, to shaping up how the product will look like, how the design will look like, what should be the implementation and actually doing the implementation, building a lot of these automated validation tests. In each of these phases, there is a lot that can be done through the AI tools, along with, of course, a lot of stuff that we'll have to do manually. So entrepreneurship ultimately is essentially about, like, again, if I am talking in the domain of software engineering or building softwares, is how do we take a problem and provide solution for that in some form at a very high level. So the same set of things that we discussed would come in play there as well.
I am Amiman Ghosh from class 12th. So, Bhaiya, first of all, I would like ask that it is a Praktani Adda, not something formal. Okay. So, I can ask a bit informally.
Okay.
तो मैं ये पूछूंगा आपसे कि जब आप विद्यापीठ में थे तब क्या आपने कभी AI के बारे में सोचा था?
So, at the time actually, we didn't have much understanding of AI, or AI actually उस समय wasn't like as popular as it is now. So to answer your question, no, because we didn't know much about AI at that time. But things are very different now. Like AI is actually like part and parcel of sort of like everything that we are getting in touch with.
और एक सवाल मतलब आप चूंकि यहाँ पे 10th तक थे तो कुछ यादगार घटना विद्यापीठ का जो आप हमारे साथ शेयर करना चाहेंगे?
वो तो मैं डेलीगेट करूंगा. I can delegate to. There are a lot of folks who actually can share यादगार घटना, but so I am not able to remember right now, but I am very sure that there will be others who can do that. If someone wants to share something.
Thank you.
My name is Nipun. I am a student of class 12. Bhaiya, my question is, what is algo trading and how it works?
What is algo trading?
And how it works?
So I'm not an expert in that, but algo trading ultimately is using, like, we talked briefly about algorithms here. So algo trading is using computer algorithms on top of like stock market data to make predictions about how the stock will do in future at a high level, right?
May I ask you that how accurate it will be for an individual trader to take the predictions from your algorithm and take a trade?
So it depends on how good the algorithm is. In general, so firstly, I'm not an expert at all on stock markets or algo trading. But broadly speaking, I would say is that depending on, like, if the algorithm is not only based on just historical data, but it also incorporates other things like what's happening with that particular company, and all of these actually now with AI, it's possible to ingest all of that data as well, not just necessarily, let's say, the history of how it fared, but also what's happening in that industry, what's happening for that company. Can it sort of ingest what's going on in the news or all of these, and if all of this together are blended into the algorithm, then it would essentially have, like, whatever a human would have done, a lot of it would incorporate within it. So hopefully that will, well, work better.
Well, last question. Big companies like Jane Street use HFT as their main source of trading. So how can an individual or a retail trader can also use that technology in his daily trading?
Use what?
HFT, high frequency trading algorithm.
So I don't have any knowledge of high frequency trading, so I don't have enough context to answer that question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Arindam Basak. And really, it is a great session. And listening from some authority on the subject, that is always a very great experience. I should tell you that in this very hall, and on 6th November, there was our annual debate competition. And class 12 students participated in that. And perhaps you will be happy to know the topic was artificial intelligence, a threat to humanity. That was the motion for debate. And for the motion, the speakers were Avinav Kumar, Shubhajit Kar, Saumyajyoti Sen, Soumyak Pandey. For the motion, all are from class 12. And against the motion, Vinayak Veer, Debargho Thakur, Rajkrishna Goswami, and Upayan Pramanik. So they were against the motion. And that debate competition was so nice. And as it is Adda, an informal gathering, so we would like to hear from them, at least one persons, or as you like, one from for the motion and one against the motion. Or more than one it may be, if you like. So who will come for the motion? Please come.
To all my respected senior bhaiyas, my seniors present in this hall, I'm sorry if I fumble because I have not revised the topic for some days, but still I will try to catch up on that. So regarding AI is a threat to humanity. So I was in a team under my leader Abhinav Kumar. So the topics we mainly focused on was AI being used wrongly, AI slashing jobs, AI being a risk to the nation and internationally. And also we focused on the future aspects of AI and the dangers it might bring. Some of them you may have heard of, as Bhaiya just now addressed us on AI. So we researched some and we found some studies. We referred to studies by companies like Anthropac, who are a leading AI safety firm, and we found that they have some shocking revelations in their data and in their final output that they put before the media. So we had news clippings from New York Times, The Herald, and other such newspapers that showed proofs of AI causing death, AI blackmailing executives to survive its shutdown. So we didn't have that much point. We didn't have the weight of the information and the circumstances with us, but we still won, thanks to my teammates' excellent address to the judge. So regarding AI, I had a question regarding AI which I had in my mind. So since Bhaiya is from Microsoft, he may be exposed to hyper intelligent AI networks which we are as a common folk not exposed to. So mainly we focused on this only, that as we know, the technologies we have now are backdated. Maybe 30 years, maybe 50 years. They are first accessed by various defense ministries of various countries, then by intelligence services, and then by inner circles of famous tech giants. So obviously the AI machines, AI tools we are using like Claude Opus 4, GPT 4.1 or Gemini are backdated. How much backdated, we didn't know. And that is the fear we have. Presently, people who are in control of AI, like Sam Altman, Elon Musk, or even the godfather of deep learning, like Geoffrey Hinton, hint at the probable collapse of humanity, even extinction, if AI gets out of hand. I believe they have control over AI, and they see the future of AI as we don't see it. So my main point was that if the godfathers of AI are blading an alarm call against AI, so shouldn't we be afraid of it? We are just commoners.
just common students who use AI to complete petty projects, petty tasks in our academia. What do we know about AI? We should listen to people who know about it. So that was our main point. Now, Bhaiya might know more about me. He may have been exposed to hyper-intelligent AI services throughout his career. As he just said that he was interested in AI during his college time. Back in the 2000s, AI was not heard of, as I presume. So it's 2025. So he may be exposed to many AI services that we do not know about. So our main concern was regarding the future of AI. And we also pointed out that AI, the threat to AI was like nuclear threat. Nuclear fusion was discovered just in 1945, and Operation Manhattan took 8 months or 10 months to accomplish. And soon after that, the nuclear bomb was dropped. There was not much time to control it. There was not much time to make laws to restrict its uses. So what if something similar happens with AI? That is our major fear. And this is not just fear of the people who are speaking for the motion. This is the fear of Gen Z, of the generation who are going to live in the dread of AI. Thank you.
Now, against the motion.
Good evening, everyone. I am Debargo Thakur of class 12. On 6th November, I spoke against the motion that AI is not a threat to humanity. Bhaiya has already told us that, yes, AI may be used for many other illegal purposes and unethical purposes. But it is always the man behind the computer, the one who is using it. My friend gave the example of Project Manhattan. It was America who decided to drop the atom bomb. The flight didn't go off itself. Similarly, it is always the one who operates. He has the one who decides how to use it. Someone uses AI for some good purposes, but AI has also been used for some malicious activities. It is to be regulated, not to be banned or to be stopped. Research work is necessary for evolution. Innovation and creation should go hand by hand. Without it, how can we evolve? Yes, when it was a period when science was in development, people feared science, people feared rocketry, but did it stop? It didn't. Similarly, it is AI. It shall not stop, it will evolve. Yes, it is dangerous, but we should not stop it. We should rather try to control it, use some acts, and one day we can accomplish it. Today it is a fear. Tomorrow it will be a tool in our hands, in our fingertips. Thank you.
It is a very noble initiative, and we should congratulate you that this is the 80th session here at Shivananda Hall of Vidyapith. So thank you, our Ritesh Chaturvedida, for taking this forward. And this evening is primarily for the celebration of 30 years of graduating from Vidyapith for this 1995 class 10 batch of Vidyapith. So we would like to see all of them on the dais. So please come, and we should see you together here. And if any one of you is willing to speak some words to our dear students, you are welcome. So please. Other senior people are sitting here, so our heartfelt thanks and regards and respect to all of them. And we would like to hear something from, as you like, you come here. You please introduce yourself. Yeah. Hey, chalo.
many of my batchmates I'm meeting right after 30 years, and some of them are meeting me after 30 years naturally. And the kind of joy that it brings to be together, to meet each other after such a long gap, is something that I don't know, you guys won't relate. At some point in future you would. But every time it brings back this fact, and it cements it in my mind at least, is this alumni and this relationship that we forge here is simply beyond any other relationship that I have forged in my life. And I would just like to thank this institution and everybody who's a part of it on and onwards. And we are overjoyed with the hospitality that we get every time. So I thank everyone, Maharaj, on behalf of my batch. The kind of effort you've shown and you put in to go to the length of showing us around multiple times, the whole campus, and everybody who's there in teachers, monks, staff, the kind of effort they put in to welcome us with open arms is simply mind-blowing. And thank you once again from the batch of 1995.
Thank you. Now, a very informal vote of thanks from one of our dear students, Avinab Kumar of class 12.
A man without education is like a bird without wings. A man without new ideas is like a bird without wings. I thank you all our Praktanis Bhaiyas for inculcating our minds with such brilliant ideas. Thank you Basak ji for dismantling the giant called AI into such simple chunks using relatable examples from apps we regularly use like YouTube, Ola and Swiggy, and that our personal learning helper. We are grateful to you for clearing the fog which we had in our minds for the AI. We all feared, but now after this talk, I am quite sure that we all are encouraged to pursue AI as a career. Thank you for all of you for the wonderful questions which you asked, and those were the proof that the fear which we had in our minds about AI is getting blurred. I thank Ritesh ji for the gift he has given in the form of books in our library, and to all our Praktani brothers for making this evening a very warm and pleasant one. I thank our Principal Maharaj and our Coordinator Maharaj for this wonderful evening they have organized. And at last, I would like you to spell the word success. Would you please spell the word success? S-U-C-C-E-S-S. And do you know, can you pronounce it without its second letter U? Try it. No. So this evening is not successful without you. Our Vidyapith is incomplete without you, and our India is not glorious without you. So have a big round of applause for you yourself. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Vidyapith Giti. So all will please stand up for Vidyapith Giti, and the music group should go on stage.
বিদ্যাপীঠের তরুলতা মুগ্ধ করে মন
স্বপন তার তুলনা ভাই দেখতে নাই পায় ভ্রমিত ভুবন সাদের বিদ্যাপীঠ যে মোদের শোভা নিকেতন বিদ্যাপীঠের উদার মাঠে বিস্তারিত স্নেহ মন ভরে দেয় প্রাণ ভরে দেয় সবল করে দেহ বিদ্যাপীঠের গগন তলে দীপ্ত আলো জ্বলে রে সেই আলোকে শিখাবো ছাত্র দল চলে চলবো দেশ দেশান্তরে ঘুরবো মরু প্রান্তরে আমি আমার বাণীর সাথে নূতন জগৎ গড়বো রে जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी की जय जय माई की जय जय स्वामी जी महाराज जी की जय जय बाबा वैद्यनाथ जी